This is the 20th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Good show today. The one and only man of many talents, host of Mercer podcast, the Facts of Fishing TV show, Bassmaster Elite Series Emcee, and part merman now that he posts underwater footage of bass making poor life decisions, primarily on Berkeley soft plastics. Dave Mercer joins the show today. And it'd been a while since I caught up with Dave. We had like a little segment that we did, and then I'll have to ask him. We just literally stopped doing it. Like, we never had a discussion about it. Like, we had like some stuff planned, and then I was busy one week and he was busy one week, and then we just never did it again, which is why consistency, repetition is important in life. So we'll see what happened to a cull, where we would keep or cull a topic. And then I just haven't caught up with them, and there's a lot in the industry. So I went Bill O'Reilly and said, we'll do it live. Literally sent him the "we'll do it live" meme. So we'll do it live. Speaking of live, there is Dave Mercer.
Merman, I like that.
Well, yeah, seriously, like, I don't think a lot of people realize, if you look at, there are certain people in the industry, specifically on social media or YouTube, that have found a niche, so to speak. And then they keep going back to that niche because that niche delivers views, comments, shares, a reaction, right? And you found that if you have underwater fish, big bass destroying baits underwater,
it's fun.
But that's like you filming that.
Yeah.
No one knows that. Have you talked about that? That's you. Like, if you go to any of your social medias, like all those underwater stuff, like, you are underwater with a camera getting that shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I talk about it. I probably should talk about it more, because most people are shocked when they find out. Like, people think because I do so many things that I have an elaborate crew that does it. And we have a crew that works on the Facts of Fishing TV show and stuff like that. But with the underwater stuff, it's pretty much all me. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't really like it any other way, because it is, I mean, you've talked to me enough about it off camera where I'm obsessed with it. Like, this is a depressing time of year, because just a few weeks ago I went for my last swim of the year. I mean, it's just too cold now and things are starting to freeze up. But it's probably my biggest, I get from that, Panger, when you hear dudes talk about hunting and tree stand therapy or whatever. That's what it is for me. Like, I get that. Like, I just love swimming with them. And I just feel like you never get tired of underwater footage of fish. I mean, it's incredible. And I'm thankful that a whole bunch of people tune in and to YouTube and see those things, because we post them each and every day. And if you haven't tuned in, make sure you do, because literally everything on this week's Mercer podcast, I have Kyle Welcher, and we get onto this topic about how everything that we both kind of do is a means to an ends. Like, it is literally, like, I don't do this. That's just me swimming with a pike. It doesn't need anything, but it's kind of cool. And here's a weird thing. That pike shot that you're looking at right now, pike and muskie have this huge rep for being these big, tough, aggressive fish. They're the hardest fish to shoot underwater. They're super spooky. It's weird. It's the exact opposite of what you would think. But back to my original thought, it's all just a means to an end. I mean, I get to do really cool things, and literally the underwater stuff, I just had to figure out a way to make it make sense that I could be gone for weeks at a time just swimming with fish. My wife's an awesome person, but I mean, at some point, you got to make a living. And literally, that's been my whole career. Like, when I was in high school and all my friends finished and went on to do what they went to do, I was like, well, I got to figure out some way to fish for a living. and so I can keep fishing. And that's literally what my whole career has been. And now I'm doing a lot of underwater stuff. And there's a Berkeley switch gets eaten, munch, munch.
And these are not, these fish aren't, are they? They're not in an aquarium.
I wish. I get accused of that all the time.
Yeah.
No, a lot of the footage is shot on public water. We shoot a lot on the St. Lawrence River. I have a few kind of private lakes that I shoot on as well. But I mean, they're 25 to 50 acre private lakes. It's but the advantage to them is just simply you can not be bothered when you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, when you're on a public lake, people are like, what are you up to? There's boats that come through and it kind of messes with things. But yeah, no, some pretty cool
like
stuff.
that one. Like I have a tough time just getting a frog bite fishing it. So like walk me through that one. Like, do you have the fish? I mean, this would have to be a private pond deal.
That is
this one would have to be
this
because
particular shot. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, how long does that take to set up? Like, do you have a fish in mind? Do you just go down to the bottom? Who's fishing the frog? I mean, is Rojas up there on the front deck twitching that thing around?
In this situation, my son is actually working the bait.
Really?
And I'm shooting. But basically you get to where a fish is, and I explain to people, it's literally like if you talk to any photographer and they say, how do you get a cool picture of an eagle? How do you get a cool picture of a moose, any kind of wildlife? You spend a bunch of time, and the fish will get used to you. Like the fish will ignore you basically if you're still and you spend enough time. So literally that's a situation where you're casting repeatedly in front of the fish. And that's another reason why a lot of times I don't use hooks. People will be like, oh, this must be a tank, he's not using hooks. I don't use hooks for one reason. It is hard enough to get a freaking fish to eat in front of your camera and it be in focus and everything line up right. So if I get one to eat, I want to take multiple opportunities. You know, there's times where it eats, but it eats right at the edge of the shot. You know, you just can't track the shot over quick enough. So that's why I don't use hooks, because sometimes you can get a fish to eat multiple times.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff. You've had some really good shows recently. I'm curious so I've not had Brent Ayler on the show recently, but I'm curious after your time with him. I chuckled when I saw the title and watched a little bit of it. He is underrated interesting in this industry. Would you not say, like, as far as one of the most eclectic guys, he does not get enough credit for that just as a whole?
Oh, no, hugely, very, very interesting. And he'll go anywhere. Like, I mean, he's big time into aliens and all sorts of different stuff. And that's honestly what I try to do with that show. I mean, I tell all the guys, as close as we can have this to a real conversation, the better the episode's going to be. And some guys, it takes a little while to get there. Some guys like Brent, it's pretty easy. I find the less you talk to him about fishing, the more interesting he becomes.
I would agree. Another guy that I got to spend a lot of time around recently was Kyle Welcher. And every time I'd been around or interviewed Welcher in the past, it'd been all business. Like he's all business. I'm curious, you recorded that yesterday?
Yeah, last night. Yeah.
I didn't know if that you're cool saying that. Well, I just
No, that's fine. It's fine. It airs Wednesday.
So if he's one of those guys also similar to Brent Ayler, like what's going on behind in his head is way more complex than the Alabama accent. Let's just chuck this thing under a dock and see what happens that he kind of portrays on the YouTube. That time I spent with him in Japan, dude, that guy is super intense on the mental aspect and the health and the diet and all. And I was like, well, let's do it. And he's like, yeah, man, no, I don't want to go into depth on any of that stuff.
He does that a few times on this show. Like that's cool though, to me, where a guy has the balls to be like, yeah, I got something for that, but I ain't telling you it. Like most people will lie, but he straight up like says, oh no, there's a few questions he won't answer. But dude, he is, from the first time I met him, I literally said, this dude is the love child of Kevin Van Dam and Aaron Martens, because he has that outside of the box thinking that Aaron had, that amazing, like what you think he's going to go this direction, but it's totally different. And he thinks about it. When you ask a question, there's one answer, but he's got 4 different directions that it goes, and it all computes in his brain. But he also has that like step on their throat, I want to beat everyone, that KVD has.
So when we were in Japan, we had that day to fish, and 10 minutes in, I had a bite, and my goal was to just Cruz, Welcher, myself, all we wanted to do was say we caught a bass in Japan. Well, I messed up. I lost one on a Ned rig with metered 3.5 pound line and a 5'2" extra light bait caster on a BFS system. Long story short, it's like a rubber band trying to set the hook, and I was and Welcher was 10 feet from me. We kind of wandered off on this thing, and I immediately went to there was my chance. I can't believe I blew my chance. And he as the day went on, had a serious conversation with me about how my mindset in that moment was all wrong, because I had already negatively projected that was my chance, that I had made a mistake, that I wouldn't get another chance. And he went into how you needed to turn that into a positive, that you had a bite, that it was going to happen. And he hadn't caught one yet either. And that's how I kind of went down this path with him, where he was like, dude, you're manifesting, in a lack of a better term, you're already beat. He's like, you should have turned that into a positive. And literally at the end of the day, with 5 minutes left, he jacks one and caught one. But it was interesting how he was like, dude, your outlook for the rest of that day trying to catch one in Japan was tainted, which resulted in you probably not catching one. And he's like, and then that translates over into your tournament fishing as well. And that was just the very tip of the iceberg. He was just using that as an example. And I was like, yeah, I can see why this guy won an Angler of the Year and may win an Angler of the Year in the MPFL.
Yeah, you're talking about a dude that doesn't eat bread during competition because it foggies your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, and I think that you're right, that Alabama accent and how kind of oh shucks he is at times. I think it takes people a little while to realize what they're dealing with, but he is a handful, and he's going to be a handful to deal with for many, many years. I mean, this sounds horrible because he's an Angler of the Year. I'm shocked he hasn't won more.
Yeah.
Literally, that's how good he is. If you'd have told me, I mean, Angler of the Year is an incredible, if you win one, but I'm shocked he hasn't won a couple of elites by this point. He almost won the Bassmaster Classic. He's that good.
Sam says a little sweat room healing moment from the tribal medicine man. And then it's hard to believe. So I think he's kind of reinventing himself as an angler too, which I think kind of showed up in last year's results on the Elite Series. A second, what is he, first or second man out of the
second man
classic?
Out of the classic, yeah.
But just kind of watching him and talking with him, I think there's several guys that are kind of reinventing themselves, so to speak, but they're doing it. They did it throughout the year last year, and I expect him to come back incredibly strong in 2025.
How do you mean he's reinventing himself?
Well, I think there's a whole, so I'll say it now. I got Cliff Crochet on the show tomorrow, and he's got an announcement.
Cajun baby.
Yeah, and who knows where we're going with that. I think he had a head cold. He might have been on some cold medicine when I talked to him yesterday. But anyway, he's on. So I think there's a group of anglers that are in the middle zone. They're not the wily veterans that are what they are, and they're going to be that until they either retire or get forced out. They're not the young guys that haven't grown up with the technology, that don't know any different. They're that mid, early 30s guy that came up and the technology is somewhere in the middle for him, right? And so you have a guy like Welcher, who obviously has the utmost confidence and skill and ability in the way he has done it growing up. But I think he's also open-minded enough to see the advantages of implementing certain parts of that technology into his game. We saw that when he did win Angler of the Year there at the end, even though he admitted that's not his strong suit. That's not what he wanted to be doing. But I think there takes some time to transition into that to get just as much confidence in the new way of professional bass fishing as the old school way. And I think you saw a lot of those guys in their early to mid 30s that use the 2024 season as that transition. And now they have the utmost confidence in that bait. And I think that experience is going to shine through in 2025 for a number of these guys.
I'll give you that. I think he was really very good with it. I mean, his Angler of the Year season, he used it a lot. Again, but people don't. I mean, it's like Christie's win at the Classic. It's funny because people are like, "He wanted old school." Christie started every day with it. I mean, every single day of the Classic, Christie used forward-facing sonar, and then because he fished docks in the afternoon, people are like, "He did it old school." Like, here's the one thing. I think people way underestimate how good some of those guys are with it. Although that's not their bread and butter, they're very, very good with it. But you might be right. He might have been adjusting. We'll see. I mean, he was 2 spots out of the Classic. I think in that kind of situation, dude, it's one bite. It literally is one bite throughout the year that kept you from going to the Bassmaster Classic.
It's wild how thin that razor's
So
edge is.
thin.
It's like that every single year too.
Yeah.
Make or break careers.
And from 40th to 20th in Angler of the Year, where 20th, if you're in 20th for Angler of the Year, you're like, oh, that's a great season by anybody's account. Dude, that's 2 bites, 3 bites. Like, it's not when people are like, oh, you had a rough season. It literally was one wrong decision, and you see that every year. If you follow Angler of the Year, it's not you can't have one bad tournament. You can't have one bad day. And if you're going to have a bad day, it better be day 1 or 2. Because day 3, you can make that back if you slide in. But if you can't have one bad day in the Elite Series.
Why have the Canadians had so much success over the last 4 or 5 years, Dave?
Because they're cheaters.
No, that's a serious question. I mean, look at Coop, the Johnson brothers, Gussie. I mean, there's you could even say like Jamie Bruce in the Opens.
Yeah.
Like, I think if he was able to go out and really go after it, I think Jamie Bruce would be on the Elite Series, no doubt. A couple other guys too that are in that mix. But I mean, the Canadians, it wasn't that long ago that you were announced the first Canadian to win an Elite Series. Now it's the first Canadian to win an Angler of the Year. They're always in the Angler of the Year mix. Now you got a Bassmaster Classic title in there. I mean, that's all within the last 4 or 5 years.
Those anglers are very talented, but I think, and in some ways, I took it for granted until you really see it play. Where we're from is very versatile. Literally, we have everything except for tidal water. That's the only thing you have to kind of adjust to. And I just assumed, growing up as an angler in Ontario, that, hey, this is how everywhere is, until I traveled a lot. And then you go to Oklahoma and you're like, yeah, there's not a lot of grass here. What? Like, you just assume, but we have rock lakes, we have grass lakes, we have clean water, we have dirty water. We have a lot of different conditions. So I think that makes them very versatile. I think also it's a lot of the reason that I think when you get West Coast anglers, like if you look at the percentage of West Coast anglers that have made it to a national level and how good they do, it's quite shocking. But I think that's because it's not easy to make it to a national level when you grow up in the West Coast. It's not easy to make it to the national level when you grow up in Canada. It's probably easier than the West Coast, really, traveling wise. And I think that lines up. So the best of the best make it, and they do very, very well. And they were all dominating at home before they ever made the move. So it's a handful of things, and I think the schedule sets up really well for them too. If you look at where they get to fish, I mean, we've had a lot of northern events, a lot of smallmouth events. So yeah, no, it's set. But you look at Corey. I mean, Corey won both this year. He won a smallmouth event and a largemouth event in Florida and in New York.
So you live on the shores of famed Lake Scugog, right?
That's it. Yeah.
So how far is that from Toronto?
About an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah. And you have your pulse on is there like a groundswell, an upswell of tournament anglers in Canada that have seen what the Johnsons and Gussie's been able to do. I mean, you got Gussie at the Jets games getting recognized. You see all this crazy stuff. Like, is there a group like the next Coopers that are tournament fishing in Canada where their goal is to make the Elite Series and we just haven't heard of them yet because of the success that we're seeing these guys having now?
Yeah, well, you can't help but that happen. I mean, as soon as Gussie won the Classic, I thought that. Like, I'm like, you got your guy now. I mean, the same thing Carl did in Australia. You know, you got Tommy Wood coming over. You got different people who are trying to make it from Australia. But when you see that there's a path that is realistic, like when the Johnstons grew up, when Gussie grew up, they grew up in a time where people said, oh, I don't think there'll ever be a Canadian on the Elites. And now that people see that it's doable, it's definitely, I don't know that more people are fishing tournaments because of that. I feel that more people that are fishing tournaments are now more serious and realize that this is an option, that I can do this.
Will there ever be a professional tournament in Canada, or the logistics and the exchange? Like, is that, I mean, if you could put an NFL game in Europe, can we not have a bunch of anglers go up into Canada and would that not be a insane draw? I
think now you're going to get me in trouble.
I know we've talked about this before, but I mean, it seems like the next natural progression would to go up there.
It does, but let's remember, we like to compare ourselves to other sports, but we are not. We are not the NFL. Yeah. We do not have their budget. We don't have countries offering to spend money to get us all there. I think
what's keeping it from happening, I guess, is
the border. I mean, it's pretty simple. You got that many people that would have to cross the border. Never even mind the anglers, the service crews alone. It would be an absolute nightmare to get all that equipment and everything up there. I mean, it would be cool if it happened. I just don't know that it's going to happen anytime soon. And believe it or not, Jerry McInnes, God rest his soul. I mean, he really wanted to do one in Canada. That was one of the things that he pushed. But there is a lot of, I mean, it's a different country. There's a lot of hoops that people would have to jump through, and I don't know that it happens. But if it does, it'll be cool. I just think that there's a lot. There's a lot. It's not as simple as it seems. Like, that's just a realistic answer. But yes, as a Canadian, it'll happen.
What happens first? Elite Series in Canada or Elite Series in California?
Elite Series in California. I hope. Okay. I hope.
So you're saying there's zero chance for Canada?
I mean, maybe. I mean, it happens in Canada. It's literally right there. It's right across the border. It's very, very close. And here's the weird thing. I think, I'm going to get in trouble again here. If we were to do one in Canada, where I think we should do it is not where people, a lot of people will say Simcoe, and Simcoe would be cool. But I mean, Simcoe's very similar to Thousand Islands and a lot of, and St. Clair, a lot of the stuff we see. If they did one in Canada, I would say do it up in Lake of the Woods.
That's what I got. I got LOW written down right here. I was curious if you would say that.
Oh, yeah. That's the Canada America wants to see. I mean, it's just there's eagles everywhere. It's wild. It's just
there largies in there too.
Yeah.
See, the other one I was thinking of would be Eagle Lake in Ontario, but I don't think it has largemouth in it.
I don't think so.
So Lake of the Woods is it's the deal if you have one up there.
Oh yeah, and dude, and Kenora is where you want to have it. Like if you because you got a community that already where Gussie's from. That community has one of the coolest grassroots tournaments there is. Like, and when I shouldn't say grassroots, it's a major event, but KBI is a huge event where thousands of people come out to the weigh-in. That is the major event of the town. It's a fundraiser. It's everybody in the town is involved with it. And if I've learned one thing over the last number of years, you look at where Bass has done really well. Bass has done really, really well in Waddington. Bass has done really, really well in Orange. Those two communities, I mean, there's other places we've done well. Obviously, I mean, we do well most places. Palatka, another great one. But if you look at all those communities, it's when the whole community comes together to make the event. Like, I mean, I always used to say, like, Waddington, the first time we went to Waddington, every single business in town had a booth at the expo, including the funeral parlor. So if you want to realize the support that comes from a community, and that's the kind of area that Kenora is. So I say, if it were to happen, that'd be where we go. And it wouldn't be that bad. I mean, it's not far from International Falls, so it wouldn't be that bad for a lot of our guys.
I'm trying to find a video of this. Is that where they have the weigh-in, like in the tent? In the tent, and it's absolutely slammed.
Yeah. It's wild. It's incredible, really.
I'm trying to find. I think Jay Siemens fished it one time, right?
Yeah.
He's fished it. Okay, here it is. I can show like a clip of his stuff, right?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
Jay Siemens is next level. He's never even heard of BTL. I promise you that.
I'm pretty sure he has. He has.
I would put a 0% chance. Like
I'm gonna tell you he has.
Dude, you know what? You watch his stuff. It's the most highly produced. It's phenomenal. And I don't even fish any of that stuff.
I'm pretty sure he's heard of it. Do you want me to call him and find out?
I would love to get him on the show.
All right, let's call him right now.
You're going to call him right now live? Look at that. There it is. That's it, right?
That's it.
Look, there's confetti cannons. You're really calling Jay Siemens.
Yeah, he might leave me on.
He's got to be filming right now. It's first ice up there. He's got to be out on the ice.
The call has been forwarded.
Yes.
What a dick.
But look at this. That is cool.
It is. Yeah, it's incredible. It's an incredible event. You look at that. That's I mean, there's a lot of great communities, but Kenora is a special part. And I just think Lake of the Woods is that cool part of Canada. I mean, it's just a really amazing part. So, but I don't live there. I live near Lake Simcoe and stuff. So there's a good chance that a lot of my local friends hate my guts right now. Thank you, Panger.
No, it's all good. If you are wanting to get into the Jay Siemens stuff, he does like all these different series. Right now they're doing the Outpost, which it looks miserably cold with what they're doing. But I've never caught any of those species through the ice. I have no idea what they're doing, how they're doing it, whatever. But I love that series. And it's amazing. Like you kind of do a little background digging into like his business. Is the word acuity? His business smarts?
Acumen?
Yeah, he's super smart business-wise. Like, if you start watching it and then seeing how everything fits together on his channels, you're like, dude, this guy's got it together. And then you start looking at, like, the filming and stuff, and you're like, this is not low budget.
He's a hard worker. I mean, he's got his own fish batter, catch and cook that he came out with. I mean, and he started with Aaron Weeb from Uncaught Angling as a camera guy and literally has worked with Meat Eater, worked with everybody. He makes really, really great stuff. And he's one of the kindest, good people on, except for the time when he didn't answer my phone live on BTL.
That's because he's filming. Is he in the, so I read your bio and it was amazing. I just never gone to the Facts of Fishing website and read your bio. And then from there, I went down a lot of different wormholes.
Did you?
Yeah, like, is he in the Canadian Angler Hall of Fame? Is he the youngest angler, the youngest person inducted into the Canadian Angler Hall of Fame?
No.
Who holds that title?
That'd be me.
All right, I got a bunch of these wormholes. You have no idea what we're getting into, but we do need to take our first break of the show.
Okay, why did you read that? The bio hasn't been updated in a long time.
I know, that's why it's awesome. And then if you take that and then you do other keywords, like I want to get into this hog craw that you developed when you were 15.
Yeah, it was a winner, clearly.
I want to get into that. Yeah. You good on that? What's your time frame today?
I got all day for you. Let's
oh my God,
turn this into a BTL marathon.
All right. We're going to just do like quick little breaks. We'll be back in a minute. It's BTL on a Tuesday with Dave Mercer. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
This is Gamakatsu's new Nano Alpha line of hooks. If it looks familiar, that's because they are. It's the same shapes and sizes in the round bend and the EWG and in the new Horizon head that you know and love from Gamakatsu, but there are a couple new features with this Nano Alpha, which is this little green label that you see on the packaging. First off, 2 times faster hook penetration. That's because of the Nano Alpha smooth coating on it, and also it is 4 times more corrosion resistant. Check it out, Nano Alpha.
I've been using Sunline Shooter for the majority of my career. Millions of dollars made, lots of bass caught, and the gnarly, gnarly stuff. If you need a abrasion resistant, tough fishing line for the really, really mean stuff, Sunline Shooter is for you.
All right, welcome back. B-Tail on Monday, talking with Dave Mercer. Yeah, let's get into this. So, like I said, I looked at your Facts of Fishing bio, and which led me to the youngest angler ever inducted, which then led me to the article, which you were inducted, which then had a list of your accomplishments, which at the time, one of your accomplishments is the first angler with over 100,000 Facebook followers.
Yeah.
Which I thought was exceptionally interesting. And then I have never heard you talk about you're the first person to ever throw out a first cast instead of a pitch at a Major League Baseball game. Have you talked about this story?
Well, yeah, back when it happened.
Well, that was 2009.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a it doesn't have the year, but yeah, no, I did throw out except around then. Yeah, I used to do a lot of cool things before I worked for Bass. Now I'm so busy working for Bass, I don't get a chance to do all those sort of cool things. But
here it is.
Yeah, Cito Gaston called me in.
How did you get hooked up with that? Just being a distinguished Canadian.
Yeah, I guess. It was part of we have a charity casting for a cure, and we sold tickets to the game, and it was a part of a deal. I mean, initially they just asked me to throw to first pitch, and I was like, yeah, we got to throw to first cast. That dude totally turtled on it. That cast was perfect. Watch what I do. But the greatest thing is there's a marketing guy yelling at me, you can't cast again. And I'm like, screw that. All I thought about is my buddies that were at the game, and they were going to make fun of me.
Boom.
Both casts were perfect. He just kind of turtled because he didn't expect it to come in, I guess, with so much heat.
Did you practice that?
I did just a couple times in my backyard, but we drilled a hole in the ball, used 80-pound test braid, tied the line, and let her rip, Tater Chip. And I wanted to cast it. You know what I mean? It would be easy to pitch it, but I wanted to cast it. But I think a few people have done it since then. But yeah, no, that was a fun thing to do.
So out of all, I know you do UFC fights, you do NHL games, you do MLB games, you do a bunch of sporting events. Like if you could only attend, I know you're a big NFL fan. If you could only attend like one more sporting event, like if this was the one sporting event you could attend, what are you choosing? Like from just the whole aspect.
Well, we got to remove fishing, right? We're just talking
outside of fishing. Yeah, other things.
I gotta go a Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl. I mean, I've never been to the Super Bowl. It's one of the I would love to do a lot of those cool events. Like I'd love to go to the Masters at some point. UFC fights are great, but I mean, there's nothing bigger than the Super Bowl. I mean, I would love to attend a Super Bowl, and obviously with the Chiefs in it, and most likely winning, which will make more people hate me.
How many of the Chiefs fish?
I know that Chris Jones fishes. It's actually Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have fished. I know I've seen pictures of them fishing. They actually fished out of Port Aransas in Texas, right where we used to do the Redfish Cup. But I'm sure a few of them. But I know Chris Jones is pretty hardcore about it.
Huh. So another thing that I found going down the wormhole then was I was unaware that you're a best-selling author.
Yeah, I did that too.
Quick Amazon search.
Yeah.
The Facts of Fishing 2010 edition with Terry Battisti, who is the co-host of the Big Bass podcast with Ken Duke. 135 Secrets Fish Don't Want You to Know. It is actually quite a hefty book. It is 256 pages long with dimensions of 4.75 inches by 0.63 inches by 6.25 inches. That's almost 3/4 of an inch thick in those 256 pages. Was it hard writing a book, or how did that come about?
Yeah, it was horrible. I don't ever want to write a book again.
Really?
Here's what happened. So a publisher contacted me and said, hey, we're doing this series of books, and they wanted me to do a fishing book. They had done Homes on Homes, was a home rental guy. Les Stroud, the original Survivor man, he was doing a book. So they had this kind of guys division that they were setting up, and they said, we want you to do a fishing book. So they said, hey, this is going to take 40 hours of your time. We just need you to talk with this ghostwriter that's going to write with you, and it'll be easy. And I said, sure. Like, I mean, who doesn't want to do a book? And we worked out a deal, and they got this writer who was a super nice guy. I don't remember his name, but knew nothing about fishing. Okay. And they thought that was going to make this book unique, because he's going to really grasp stuff, because he's going to be learning as he writes. But dude, it was like, I would say, so like before you cast, and the guy'd be like, well, what do you mean? What's a cast? And I said, well, that's when you throw the bait out. And then he'd be like, and then I'd say, you want to put on the weight. And he said, well, what's a weight? Well, there's a lot of different weights. So I'd have to explain. So we were 40 hours into this book, and this dude we were like in the first chapter. And actually, I got to give Terry Battisti a shout out, because the book was not going to be done. Like, I'm like, I don't have enough time to explain every nuance of fishing. You know what I mean? Like, it would be like, okay, let's talk about line. And I'd be like, yeah, you want to use fluorocarbon. Well, what's fluorocarbon? Like, you'd have to explain every single thing, which probably would have made a great book, but I just didn't have time. So Tater came up to my house. We spent, I think, 3 or 4 days putting it together, but he did a really good job writing it with me. And it's just a fun book. It's the festive season. Feel free to purchase one. They're available at Amazon and many other places, but yeah.
So I just learned of this new app this year. So my girlfriend's family, she has 5 siblings and parents. So they all do this thing called Giftful.
Okay.
So it's basically like, I would assume, I don't do Pinterest, but I would assume it's like Pinterest, where you can like save things that are on your wish list. Like, I have performance wool socks. I have a t-shirt of Randy Johnson hitting a pigeon. I've got what?
That's a great moment in sports.
Dude, look at this shirt. This is a killer shirt.
That's a great shirt. Do you know he's a photographer now?
Randy Johnson?
Yeah, he's a sports photographer, dude. And he like goes to MLB games and different things. And he's like as big as and as much as he stands out, but he's like a photog now. That's what he does. Know that. Yeah, it's wild.
Anyway, long story short, the 135 Secrets Fish Don't Want You to Know is now on my Giftful.
All right. Well,
from Amazon. I don't have an Amazon account, so I can't see who gave you the 1-star review, because we're going to read that live. But it has 4. I could maybe take a guess.
That's not very nice.
But it's got a 4.3 out of 5-star rating. It's majority 5, and then one guy gave it a 1-star review. So,
well, there's always that guy.
How many of those 135 fish secrets, after what we have seen across fishing, I don't even say professional fishing, but bass fishing over the last 2.5-3 years, how many of those 135 secrets would you say are still applicable with what we know now, with the technology we have, with the way fish are getting caught right now?
All of them. Them. I'd have to go back and read it. It's been a while since I read that book or even picked up. I think I had, I should have. I mean, I have other people's books, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I got
my
the Bass
book
Boss right there. I got Bowman's the Elite Series book.
Yeah,
I got Duke's. I got a bunch of different. I mean, I try to keep up with it. I was unaware of the 135 secrets fish don't want you to know.
It's ridiculous. Hold on, let me see if I. No, I don't have one. I don't have.
How do you
one.
not have a copy of your own book?
I don't know. I don't. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I need an autograph.
Be more
copy.
professional.
I need an autograph copy of that book.
I'll get you one. Gladly.
No. I will purchase one and then I will have you autograph it.
I did like a whole book tour with it. Went to all the chapters in different bookstores and met. It was fun. It was actually a lot of that part was fun. Getting to the book was not as much. Like, to be honest, I had all these envisions of it not being your regular fishing book. You know, my idea for the cover was it was supposed to be me with duct tape over my mouth. And, you know, it was supposed to be secrets fish don't want you to know type thing. And I had all this stuff. And it was, I wanted the corners of the book, you know, what are those things called where you would flip? You know, in the comics, you would flip and the people would move. I wanted to like teach how to do a roll cast and stuff in the corners. I had all these cool ideas. And
they totally did you dirty. They literally put your mouth cannot be open any more than in the cover.
No, they were like, yeah, no, we don't like any of those ideas. They were agreeable to everything, but at the last moment, they're like, hey, Costco wants you holding a fish, and Costco was a big seller of said book. So,
so this was like in the holiday section when you would like go into the Costco. Yeah, it would be like, you know, Windows for Dummies next to 135 secrets fish. Want you to know. Yeah.
It was just I mean, it was a weird thing for me to put together because I mean, you have to read a book to write a book. And listen,
I know that this is an off limits question, but is that like a royalty deal where you still go to the mailbox and get book money every month? Or is that just like, hey, we'll pay you X amount to write a book?
No, it's a royalty deal. You get an advance to write the book, and you get paid that, and then you pay off that through your royalties. But yeah, we still get checks for it. I mean, they're not giant, but I do get checks for it, and I'm thankful for the fine folks at HarperCollins for those checks. Now that I've thrown them under the bus about the whole writing experience.
No, I thought you were very positive about it.
I mean, it's a cool thing to do. I mean, it's cool to write a book. It's weird because you're unearthing all these things that I haven't talked about in a very, very long time. Because once I started working for Bass, time to do all these extra things kind of just depleted. But I did some fun stuff over the years.
I would like to know. So we've gone through like your whole how you got the job with you talked about that, all that. You can go back and either watch your other BTLs or Facts of Fishing. But the 15-year-old Innovative Tackle Design, which was the name of your company, and then your bait, which was the Hog Craw, which according to the bio, you went tackle store to tackle store trying to get this thing sold. I would love to hear the firsthand account of that.
Well, at the beginning of our conversation, I talked about everything being a means to an end. So like when I was confused in high school, I knew I wanted to fish for a living, didn't know how I was going to do it. Knew I wanted to do something in the industry. So I designed a lure called the Hog Craw. Basically what it was is a little plastic crawfish that I would shove up the butt of a tube. And it was, that was what it was basically.
Okay.
So, and I sold them. I mean, and we sold them. They were popular for a little while, but my interest in that kind of weaned.
So did you like sell them to a different company? Like, was there a company that bought the bait then, or did it just?
No, I just sold them directly to tackle stores, dude. It wasn't as advanced as maybe you're making it sound. I literally bought some little crawfish plastics and I bought a bunch of tubes, shoved them in with a head, and that was the Hog Craw. I mean, but it's funny. Like there's companies coming out with baits that are very similar to that even still today. And I kind of giggle. I'm like, yeah, it's not really that new.
What's the one up north?
Crawfish tube.
Big Bites tube that everyone flips. It's like a tube with the craw pinchers on the side. Guys in Minnesota are obsessed with it.
I don't know this bait.
The craw tube, I think it's called.
It sounds like a rip-off hog craw, and my solicitors will be in touch.
Yeah, right here. The craw tube.
Let's see it.
Hold on a second. I gotta pull it up, and then I gotta save the photo.
While you're doing that, Penger, I just wanted this to be publicly stated. I believe I'm being railroaded here because when you called me to do this show, I said, "What do you want to talk about?" And you were like, "Nah, nothing. We'll just talk." And then we got on the Bass Pro, move your ad. Yeah, similar, basically, but my arms
were inside.
Claws were inside, so they came out through the skirt.
So this was all solid on yours.
Which,
like, you had an insert. Was there insert? Was the insert?
The whole craw was like, if you imagine just taking a craw and shoving it up inside that tube, that's basically what the hog craw was.
Oh,
yeah.
It just sounds way more complex when you hear innovative tackle design, ITD.
Story of my life. I mean, it's all just window dressing.
So I also then thought of the Yum Woolly Hog Craw, spelled HAWGCRAW, and I thought perhaps that maybe you had designed that, sold it to them. You didn't obviously copyright that name.
No. I could hardly pay for the business cards that I got made up. I was 15 years old. I feel I was an overachiever at the time. I mean, I invented the hog craw, and I wrote a newspaper column for a little while when I was in high school.
When's the last time you mentioned the book and that? When was the last time you actually wrote? Like, you just sat down and like wrote an article?
Oh, it's been a while. Dave Rush is trying to get me to write some stuff right now.
Oh, you got to do a takeover of the Best on Tour.
Yeah.
All the cool kids are doing it.
Oh.
Welcher's done it. Lucas has done it. I did it. A bunch of guys have done it.
Yeah.
Brad New did it.
I'm uncomfortable talking about stuff about myself, which has made this whole podcast very uncomfortable for me. But so it'll make that situation uncomfortable. But I'm doing that. And weirdly enough, dude, I write differently. I write a lot still today. Like, I mean, a lot of this stuff, a lot of the Super 6 intros and stuff like that over the years, Ray's Dream, that intro, I wrote that, but my writing now isn't so much for an article. It's for TV spots and for commercials and different things like that. But I do write. I mean, I'm a big fan of writing. I have on my phone, I keep quotes all the time. So I'm always writing stuff like that.
Do you have any of
like,
those available?
I'm not digging into
Come on,
there. You've dug enough.
Give us a quote, Dave.
Gosh,
give us a quote into the mind of
why do you just do this? Why?
Just one
I can tell
quote,
you my
Dave.
favorite quote. I'll tell you my favorite quote. It's from John Lennon. I don't even have to look it up. And it's, when I was 5 years old, the teacher told me, wait, let me read it. I'm going to screw it up. John
This
Lennon
gives us a lot of insight.
This is actually kind of explains my whole.
You keep them in the notes section, or you keep them in like the favorite tab?
No, in my notes. Talk amongst yourselves while I find this.
Well, I'm just letting the anticipation build. I have a lot of notes. I have 450 notes in here.
When I was 5 years old, my teacher asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up. I responded, happy. The teacher said, you don't understand the assignment. I said, you don't understand life. It's a pretty strong quote.
That's a very strong quote.
It's literally how I live my life.
You should get that tattooed.
I'm not showing it, but I do. Tramp stamp.
Do you have any tattoos?
No, not one.
Never had a desire to get a tattoo?
No, and when I did, I'm so thankful. There's certain rules in life, Penger, and I believe them. I teach my kids that, and I'm like, nobody should have a tattoo until they're 25. Not because of any other reason than here's the tattoo I would have got. For a brief moment in time, I thought I'm going to get the barbed wire armbar. which has gone down to be the cheesiest tattoo that many people my age go on vacation and are embarrassed to have in their arm. And thank God I didn't get a tattoo. So don't get anything on your body permanent until you're at least 25. Because believe it or not, stuff that you think is super cool, it doesn't age well.
I thought maybe you had like something sneaky.
No, nothing. You got any?
No. I've always said that like when I win like my first major individual tournament, so like I big into like woodworking, so I have this like kind of artistic jumping largemouth, and I was going to get it on my shoulder or underneath my shoulder blade on the left side of my back, the anatomically like in line with my heart.
Wow, you
on the
really
back.
thought this through.
So it's like an original design that like means something to me with the jumping bass, but you know the key part there is you got to win something.
It'll happen, Panger. It'll happen. I mean, you caught a 3-pound crappie the other day. Get that thing tattooed on you,
dude. You have you dove into the world of crappie fishing? I piss off like 3 to 5% of the BTL listeners will log off every time I start talking about crappie.
But
it
Let's not
makes
lose.
me so freaking happy. It's like it's like everyone else talking about deer hunting. Is the giant targeting the giant crappie?
Well, you got a 3-pounder. That's a giant.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
a
sure
giant.
you've got a bunch of 3s up there. They get huge.
No,
in
we
Canada.
do not get huge crappies in Canada. Not where I live. We do not. Like we get, I mean, right where I live, you can catch 14, 15 inches, but they are not like your crappie. They are not thick. They are a little slender. Like a 15-inch crappie here, you know, that'll be 1.5 pounds. But you're catching 15 inches that are 3 pounds. So it's a much different. You're crappie fishing. I want to come down and do that.
Yeah, it's literally just a matter of time. Like you get the time to do it, and we need 2 good days. Top 5 species, non-bass species that you enjoy fishing for.
Top 5?
Yeah. In order. Number 5.
Number 5?
Yeah.
Gotta be Goliath grouper. Incredible. Number 4, I'm gonna go group them together. Muskie pike. They're right there. I love fishing for them. A great predator fish. Number 3. Well, no, I'm gonna number 3 is pike. Muskie, then pike. Number 2, I'm gonna go with peacock bass.
I've never caught a peacock. Are they as badass as it looks and as aggressive?
So freaking incredible, dude. Like it's torture. Like you go down to the Amazon to really catch it. I mean, the ones in Florida I've never fished for, but they look cool. But I've done it 3 times in the Amazon, and it is one of the coolest things in the world. Like you're sweating profusely, like everybody is just looks like you just because it's so hot and sticky, and you have to rip that wood chopper as hard. Like literally, you know, if you go like this, you might catch a few, but you gotta rip it. And dude, people use that analogy. Oh, it's like a cinder block when it blows up or stuff like that on a lot of species. And it's not really, but it is it's appalling how hard they hit. The biggest one I got was 23 pounds. And
oh my God, isn't that like a monster? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the world record's 28, but anything over 20 is a giant. So it's an awesome fish. I mean, if it wasn't such
is that like that long?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know inches wise, but I mean, I got a picture of it somewhere. But yeah, no, it's a giant fish. I think there's a picture of it in my book.
Okay.
Actually, the Amazon's a cool place to go just for a lot of the other species. I got a 5-pound piranha I caught there, which I actually still in my bar have the skull of it. Like they buried it in the dirt there overnight, and all the ants and everything eat the flesh off it, and it looks like an alien.
So number 2, peacock.
Yeah, number 1,
non-bass. We're doing the top 5 non-bass.
I've never
species.
caught one, but I am obsessed to go golden Dorado fishing. I would love to catch a golden Dorado because they are. I mean, a lot of fish can bend a hook out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the Larry Dahlberg video where he shows the hook actually bent in from the fish eating. So yeah, I'd like to. I'd like to do that. I'd like to do a tiger fish, but I think they're in Egypt. So yeah, a lot of traveling's required for some of those things. Actually, I'm an idiot. Lakers, Arctic char up in
That's what
Plumber's Lodge.
I was
Yeah,
going to
no,
say
I-
that. Like that's I remember
yeah,
those shows.
Never mind my dream list.
That's not your
Arctic-
dream list. I'm talking about ones you've caught.
Arctic char and Lakers up in Great Bear, Plumber's Lodge. It is freaking incredible. Like it's very few times you're somewhere that you're like, there's no other human for as far as I can see. So yeah, those are, and I've been up there 3 or 4 times. So it's those are awesome trips. I want to do another one soon.
This is 6 years ago. Is this the same one? Is that it?
Yeah, that's when we were catching them. Yeah, that was Arctic char. That's actually the big one that I catch in that show is actually at the time was a line class record.
Really?
Yeah. But this is rare the way we're fishing because they're silver. Like the ocean, Arctic Ocean is literally right there. This thing was in the ocean a day ago. That's why it's so silver. As they move up the river, that's when they get real red. So I've caught them on both ends of it. I've caught them right there. You know, that's right near the ocean. When there's was
boom,
freaking boom, strong.
Watch, here it comes. Boom.
Tiger Woods would be
Boom.
proud.
Boom. Oh, with the wolf howl. With the wolf. Here it comes. Right here.
Oh my God. I'm never doing this show again, Panger.
Woo. Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy. That was a good one. That's a giant. That must be the giant. That was a line class record. But it you can catch them when they're silver like that, and they fight a lot harder. But when they get up the river, they're just a lot cooler looking. They get real red, and that's the char that people. You can see its fins are starting to go a little bit red, but that whole fish, the whole bottom half of that fish will be red as it makes its way up the river.
That's number one.
Yeah, that's number one. I'm sorry that. Yeah, there I kiss to the. There it is, Tree River. Only 300 people a year get to fish there.
Oops, hold on, let me get back and pause it. Oh, that looks like it's a scene out of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's literally what I describe it as. It's Lord of the Rings. It is you troop through those. I mean, there's nobody there. You're somewhere where 300 humans go.
Is this you in this boat right here?
I mean, it should be, maybe, potentially, I'm sure. Like, I mean, there was only 10 of us there
and
that
you
week.
Stay at this lodge right here.
Yeah, it's a cloth roofed lodge.
Where do you fly into?
Right there. They land right on that river.
Oh, with a float plane.
Yeah, just up from where you see on a float plane, they land. You go to Great Bear Lake, Plumber's Lodge, and it's a flyout. So you go there for 3 days and you stay right there. And dude, the thing is, the crazy thing about that shoot is it's daylight for everything, but maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. So you end up fishing, like you leave there exhausted because you end up fishing all night. And when we weren't shooting, my camera guys, everybody I've ever worked with are all anglers. So they get to do a bunch of fishing. So it's exhausting, but it is incredible.
So when you do this, so I did Upshaw's TV show, which is literally just like 1 day. He's like, you on them. This is kind of what I want. You say, yeah, you go, you knock it out. Like it's one guy in the boat with you. Tremendous amount of pressure. We talked about this before. Like I would rather 0 and open than go through the stress of filming it, but I still say yes every single year to one. So when you go to the destinations like this, like, are you able to enjoy this trip, or is there an immense amount of pressure on you to make sure that you get the Facts of Fishing show done, especially now with everything that's included? You got all the people from the lodge at the fly-in and all the time. Like, is it way more stressful to do the destination shows?
I don't get stressed fishing, Panger. I'll
you
be
don't get
honest.
Stressed
a lot
with doing
of people,
the shows.
I used to, but I'm like, I can't control the fish. When they're going to eat, they're going to eat. You know, if you were up there and you hadn't got a show, but you're up there, you're going to get a show. You know what I mean? I used to years ago when this is our 18th season of doing the Facts of Fishing TV show. That's fair. I used to get real stressed and I just number of years ago, I'm like, yeah, life's too short to be that stressed. So I'm pretty mellow. I don't get that upset. I mean, it'll be what it'll be. And I just find that the more you're like that, the better the shows are, the more shows you end up getting. And it's similar to tournament fishing, you know, the guys that are super stressed and everything. And there's going to be stressful moments, but if the most lethal anglers are the chill people, the people that are pretty relaxed. So I don't get that stressed. I'll be honest.
Is there anywhere in the United States or Canada? You know, we mentioned you want to go do the Dorado and all that stuff. Is there anywhere in the United States or Canada that's on your bucket list that you have not fished yet?
Oh yeah, there's tons. I'd really like to do big sturgeon at some point. I've never sturgeon fished, so either in BC or
Snake River, one of those deals.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
How has that never happened? I feel like that's exceptionally doable. That's literally like a couple phone calls and you're golden.
Yeah, and I've had opportunity to do it. It's just time, really. Like, to be honest, I mean, I keep going back to it, but with doing the TV show, the podcast, all the different stuff that I do, time is always the enemy. And to do most of those trips, a plumber's trip, for example, that's been something we've been trying to make happen again for a number of years, but it's 12 to 14 days by the time you get there and you get back. And so it's always hard to schedule it. But yeah, no, the sturgeon thing should be doable. It's a flight to British Columbia. And I mean, it doesn't seem that, I mean, it's hard to get.
You go to the bait shop and buy 12 dozen night crawlers.
Something. Yeah.
Couple 2-pound lead weight.
Just
chuck it out and wait for the fireworks to happen.
I'd like to catch some real giant catfish. I've caught a lot of catfish.
Oh, dude, you got to go out with, you need to do a show with Kyle Austin on Santee Cooper.
Really?
He's in the Classic this year. He won an Open.
Yeah, I know that.
That's what he does, like, full time.
Really?
Yeah.
Does
Blue Cats.
Does he use forward-facing sonar for them? Because that's what I've heard those dudes are doing now. They don't even cast the small ones.
I'm not exactly sure. I know he sets up, but 15 to 40-pound blues on Santee.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to do that.
That's your in there. Like, that's the biggest. That's got some of the biggest blues in the freaking world there, and he does it every day. Like, he literally builds a shelter over his pontoon boat right now, puts a heater in the middle, and runs winter trips. He just posted it. I'm not kidding.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah,
check that out.
That's what he does the whole time.
I also like steelhead fishing and stuff like that. I didn't even mention that in my 5. See, you caught me off guard.
Steelhead, is that the closest non-bass species as far as anglers that are nuts in their own little world that think it all revolves around them? I don't say that in a bad way, because I know that's how the tournament bass fishing world is. The little taste of the steelhead world I've got there, very intimidating, not exceptionally welcoming.
Yeah, musky guys are a little crazy too. But yeah, no, steelheaders are, they fancy themselves a better angler than the average human. They're the kind of guys who are like, oh, you bass fish. They're dumb.
Oh, exactly. That's 100%. And then they look at you and say, you fish for ditch pickles, and then laugh at you, not with you.
Yeah. But they spend all night tying roe, and it gets crusted on their fingers, and you'll see them down fishing, and it's just not.
The ones that I was, they look down on the live bait.
Oh, they do. They're
the pure fly fishing steelheaders.
The actual fact that I called them steelhead and they're not in the ocean is going to piss off some of them, because they're fighting amongst themselves, because the Great Lake tributary steelhead, well, they're really not steelhead according to the people who live on the coast, because those are true ocean run steelhead.
And I say this knowing that,
why don't we get along?
The bass fishing world is not exceptionally friendly for those who just step in and have no idea what it is. I'm comparing them. I'm not singling out. Well, we are singling out. They're as a whole, they're an unfriendly group. We'll just say that.
Yeah, people should be more friendly in
I'd
general.
Be shocked if there's a contingent of northern steelheaders that listen to BTL. So I think we're talking among friends here.
Yeah, this is good shit.
I've also met several very nice steelhead anglers.
And those dudes, I would say this: some of the best anglers that they steelhead anglers are very good anglers. Like
that reading water, like there is a spot where so this is what intimidated me when I went steelhead fishing. I could, like, you don't know where to stand because you don't know like where the drift is and where the holes are. And if there's anybody that's around you, like if you're in the way or not in the way, the water is very difficult to read for me because these steelhead will be in like weird little specific holes and then presenting your bait to it. Like it's probably the most complicated for the fly guys, probably the most complicated fishing that I've ever tried and was miserably unsuccessful at. I actually, the one time I went steelheading, I caught a red, right? So it wasn't, it was one of the reds, but it was just out of the ocean, right?
Okay.
So it was a keeper. So I was in the steelhead deal in Alaska. I catch it. I'm with my buddy who's up there and he's a fly fisherman, but I was kind of the guy tagging along where he's like, just, follow me and don't do anything dumb. Might have been his exact quote. So I catch this fish. It's silver. It's clearly a legal keeper, non-steelhead fish. I gut it right there, whatever, gill it the whole 9 yards. And the steelhead guys immediately called the Alaska game wardens because they thought the guy with the spinning rod just killed an illegal steelhead. And 15 minutes later, a guy came down and said, hey, we had a report that a dude using a spinning rod was gutting a steelhead. And I showed him the fish and was like, nah, it's like totally legal and stuff.
Yeah, that's another reason when you asked me earlier about Corey, Chris, and Coop specifically, one of the reasons that they're as good as they also are hardcore steelheaders. They do a lot of steelhead. And so I think that, that helps you read current and rivers and a lot of different things.
Yeah,
so
that's the Kennedy deal. Anytime you get a Elite Series that below the dam is blown out or there's current, Kennedy's going to freaking catch him.
Oh yeah. He's nuts, but I love Steve Kennedy. Like he is, dude, he's one of a very small group that I've not just the steelhead stuff and different things, but like I've watched him, like when we've been at Fork on times where he doesn't make the cut. And he's one of the anglers that several times over the years I have seen as the 10 anglers are checking in to do the Sunday weigh-in. Now the tournament's officially over. So if you've been eliminated, you're able to go back on the water and you see those 10 coming in and you see Kennedy heading out to fish. I love that he's that passionate about it, that he loves the sport that much.
I agree. One more short break, then we'll come back. I got one more quick segment. Like I said, I know you are.
God knows what we'll talk about.
Has it been an okay show? I think it's been a good show.
It's been very different.
What we either do that or regurgitate about what's going on in the bass fishing world?
Oh, I got some stuff I got to air after this break. Go to break right now. I'm really pissed about some stuff.
All right, we'll be back right after this. Mercer is pissed.
Beatdown is efficient.
Rock solid. 100% American made.
This thing is super tough. This thing is not going anywhere.
I've ran the Beatdown double stack from Florida all the way up to New York. And the one thing that I know is when I get to my fishing destination, I never have to worry about issues with my graph mount.
Your options are endless with these mounts, but they're steady, they're solid. These are the most reliable mounts on the market, and you can't go wrong with the Beatdown.
When you're ready to hit the water, Denali Fishing has you covered. Regardless of your skill level, from beginner all the way up to tournament pro, Denali has rods, reels, and tungsten to get the job done. Check them out at denalifishing.com.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish and I also fish the Bassmaster Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
one legendary brand. Time on Strike King. Gear that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
Now, welcome back. Detailing on Monday with a very pissed off Dave Mercer. It's a. Is it Monday or is it Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
Yeah,
it's Giving Tuesday, so make sure to support whatever charities are out there. And I'm not really pissed off about anything. I just wanted people not to hang up on our show.
Let's do a sponsor plug. Have you used the new AFCO gloves yet?
Not only have I used them, but I got a pair right here.
Yeah,
love them, dude. Honestly, the breakwater gloves, like, there's been a lot of gloves that have come out, and these literally just are great because they're freaking great. Like, they do everything that everybody's worn cold water gloves, cold temperature gloves that, are too cumbersome to fish in. They get wet and then they just make your hands colder. These are waterproof. They really do everything that they say, that they're comfortable and you can touch your screens and everything. They are really, really great. That's a cool thing about working with AFCO, because they're always working to make stuff better. And
so the dude calling to check on the gloves is the guy who owns it.
Yeah.
Casey calls, hey man, you had a chance? Like, what do you think? I mean, that's like the guy, like the Shed family, like the IGFA Hall of Fame Bill Shed, Milt Shed. Like, that's the guy calling, ask it specifically, like, what do you think of the gloves? So I've gotten some feedback from some guys who have them who are upset that treble hooks get stuck in them because they're kind of, and I said, dude, if it's 2024 and you're still throwing a treble hooked bait, you really need to up your minnow game. Because there ain't no reason to be throwing a bait with a treble hook on it in 2024. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah, well, hooks are going to get stuck in stuff. They cannot make a material that hooks don't get stuck in. But I'm telling you, they're the best cold water gloves I've worn. Me and Zona, between us, you can say what you want about me and Zona, but between us, there's very few pairings that have fished in as cold and as miserable of water as we have over the years. And both of us throughout, when we first got them, have both talked and been like, these actually do exactly what they say. Because I've had gloves in the past that, hey, they're waterproof, but
I've been through the seal skins. I've been through the deal where you go, hey, buy a dozen of the wool gloves, and then every time it gets wet, trade them out. So each time you go fishing, you're going through the $10 10-pack of them. I've done the ski gloves. I've done the finger cut gloves. I mean, we're both, dude, these are worth the price of admission.
Yeah, very, very good gloves. Very good.
And then when I'm running, I wear the Hydronaut ones. I fish in the Hydronaut ones with the little windshield wipers on the back.
Oh, those I use them for running. I don't fish in them, but I use them for running. I am not good when it comes to cold hand state. Like, scale of 1 to 10 toughness, I'm like a 2. Like, I'm the guy in the bottom of the boat going, oh, like that guy who you're always are like, you okay, dude? And the guy always is like, yep, I'm good. But that, like, he's just miserable. Like, you ever had like that guy that just curls up under the console in the fetal position and they're just done? Yeah. Cold sucks. I mean, the nice thing is there's good equipment. I mean, I think at this point, I'd rather cold than heat. Like, I love it hot too, but like, there's only so naked a man can get. There's more clothes you can put on.
I know you're Canadian because there's the comment section has a Trudeau reference and a Tim Hortons reference today. It's first time ever on BTL.
I'm noticing in your comments, people give you money during this?
No, like that's rare, but yes, occasionally. Damn. I don't publicize. You know the guy who rakes that in is Travis Manson.
Yeah. Also, Money Bass.
Yeah, he always. I think he's giving me a couple bucks every now and then.
Makes bank. Nobody's giving money on my show.
Well, you don't do yours live.
Is that what you got to do? You got to do it live to get money?
I honestly don't know how it's set up. I'm woefully inequipped for what I do for a living to understand the ins and outs of how it works.
The reason I don't do mine live is just schedule, though. It's more like, and I see the advantage to doing it live, but I've just always pre-recorded it just because, I mean, it's recorded as it's live. We don't cut anything out or anything. But I just scheduling for the anglers, for me, you know, it's everyone's a different time.
There you go.
There's $10. Cerebral tackle.
Yeah.
CT. He makes some good stuff.
He does. All right. So you're Dave Mercer. Where'd you meet him at? Fork? He was at
Fork. Yeah. He was at Fork. Hey, the one thing I'll give CT is he does journalistic research, which is a very rare thing in that genre of YouTube right now. There's a lot of people that want to throw stuff out there. I heard this, I heard that. Man, he if he says it, for the most part, it is there's truth to it because he's done some research. I'm pretty impressed with that part of his business.
There you go. So you're Dave Mercer, the Facts of Fishing
I feel bad. Okay, all of a sudden I have to, because I know he's dirted some people. I'm not saying that now I'm going to get yelled at by other people.
If you notice, I stay completely out of that realm.
See, why did I even say that?
1,000%, Dave.
I mean, some of the stuff he's done is, wow, I'm going to get in trouble.
I tried to move on.
Yeah, you did.
Listen, I am not for, I am not anti. I stay completely out of that entire realm.
Yeah, you're right.
For my own sake.
You're a better man than me. I'm smarter. I was trying to be nice to a guy that gave you $10.
I know. I appreciate the $10 donation. I've got somewhere to go to get you out of this real quick.
Okay, let's go.
So you are Dave Mercer, host, award-winning author, host of the Bassmaster Elite Series, MC of the Bassmaster Elite Series, host of Fact Fishing. You do a podcast. So Dave Mercer, the name, may be the most eclectic and interesting name worldwide that I have found. And I was wondering if you'd be interested in running through some of the other Dave Mercers through history that have made their mark.
Wow. Okay.
Are you aware of any of them?
No.
That you want to knock off the list right off the hopper?
No, there's a dude who makes music that I know we went back and forth because he had my name or something on Twitter, but other than that, I don't know of any other Dave Mercers. I hear from them every once in a while, but I guess you got some.
Some of these are deceased. You are not, thankfully.
Wow,
you may be after that last segment.
I knew I should have said I got an hour, then I'm out.
I gave you plenty of outs, and I tried to move on from the segment.
You did. I'm sorry.
I don't feel bad at all. So there's a political commentator for Fox News. His name was Dave Mercer.
Didn't know that.
An English playwright named Dave Mercer.
Okay.
A Welsh broadcaster named Dave Mercer.
All right.
A professional British alpine skier.
Hell yeah.
An Olympic weightlifter from Great Britain.
Wow.
A professional cricket player. A Formula One race car driver.
Come on.
Yes, all Dave Mercers. And perhaps, last but certainly not least, the president of the Lake Tahoe Ski Club Foundation.
I can't wait to go to Lake Tahoe.
All famous Dave Mercers in the world. And then you add you to that list. Could you name someone with that name, Dave Mercer, with a more eclectic list of jobs? I challenge anybody to find anyone with a name of people who have had more interesting lives than Dave Mercer's.
Yeah, that's way to go, Dave's. Good job. Thanks for representing.
Congratulations. Also, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but yesterday was the 14-year anniversary of your announcement of hiring with Bassmaster, December 2nd.
Come on.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that. Why would I know that? Only people that would Google and prepare for a podcast would know that.
Is. December 2nd, 2010. Dave Mercer, Elite MC. There will be a new mouthpiece of the Bassmaster Elite Series. Bass announced today starting with the upcoming Bassmaster Classic in New Orleans. Popular television personality Dave Mercer will control the microphone as contenders weigh fish for the World Championship title. Mercer will also MC all elite events for 2011. Remember this?
Well, I
press
remember
release?
it. Yeah, of course I remember it. It was a big deal. I think I have it somewhere on my wall. My wife hung up all these.
I don't know if I would like to be referred to as a mouthpiece. Anyway,
I don't care. Dude, at that point, I was just like, yeah, if I get the job, you can whatever you want.
Jerry McInnes, who was the owner at the time, said, "We are so excited to bring Dave Mercer on board. He has a tremendous following through his Facts of Fishing television show. He also has the charisma that I believe fishing fans are going to love."
Thank you, Jerry.
He produced more than 100 one-minute fishing tips that air nearly 600 times a week on networks across Canada and the United States. Here, I'm taking this off. What do you think your quote was in this? Like, there's one quote, just a one-liner, like your first quote in this line.
Gosh, Panger, I don't know. I was excited. I mean, holy crap, probably was my real reaction. With another analogy, like, I don't know, what was it?
You said, "This is a dream come true for me." That's coach speak. And then you said, "At one
but
time,
it really is."
Well, I know, but you're obligated to say that. At one time, I used to dream about fishing the Bassmaster Classic. Then, after I fished with some Elite Series pros and realized how good they are, I altered my dream to emceeing the Classic. I never imagined it would become a reality.
It's true. The Classic, before I got hired, I was in the crowd. And I had no idea that I'd have that job next year. And weirdly enough, I think about that every year before I go on the stage. I'm like, is there some son of a bitch in the crowd that's about to take my job?
Did you ever, have you ever ran across Keith Allen, who was the MC before you? Like, how has that interaction gone?
Weird. It was weird. Truth be told, I almost didn't take the job. Like Jerry McInnes, when I got offered the job, I actually said, I have a job. I don't want to take somebody else's job. And Jerry told me that they were changing MCs. And if I chose not to take the job, that's fine. But you'll be a martyr that nobody knows about because somebody else is going to have the job. So that quickly made, but I did have, Keith is a nice guy. I think Keith did a great job emceeing the events. I think he's very good at what he does. But I did have the weirdest interaction with him. So it's the night after the Classic. KVD wins. I'm on a leather couch at the after party, and on one side of me is Tommy Sanders, and on the other side of me is Mark Zona, and literally they're kind of propping me up because the Classic is a mind melter. You literally leave there so exhausted. And in that Classic, we had 3-hour fog delays every day, which they made me keep talking the whole way through it. So that's why when Kevin won, it was KVD slams the door on number 4. My voice was shot. Yep. But Keith Allen literally comes to that victory party and walks across the room, like directly to me. And at the time, I'm like, oh boy. And comes right up to me and goes, "Welcome to the jungle, baby."
No.
And I swear to you, that's the exact words. And my response was, "Good to be here."
Welcome to the jungle, baby.
I don't know what it meant. I didn't stop. And then he walked away.
I think I can get this call dialed in time with
Are you bringing
audio.
him on?
Keith Allen? No. I would love to have Keith Allen on. Hold on a second. I'm doing this wrong. All right. Let me go to this. No.
More people gave you money, Panger. What?
I know.
hell?
This is the most I've made it a show ever.
Make it rain. It's Giving Tuesday. Give Panger money. I dare you all to.
Okay. I'm sharing this with the entire system. Here it is.
Why? Why? What is it? I'm going to have you on the show and show all your low lights. Son of a bitch.
No, this is good. This is your first call ever. Oh, I forgot this was with A-Mart.
Yeah.
You got an earpiece in here?
Yep.
Oh, has he already won there?
No, he's about to win. He's about to win.
Come on over here, Aaron.
Oh, he knows he's gonna win. He's Wait, no, he's holding.
Oh yeah, he
now.
won by 10 pounds, dude.
He needs 17 pounds, 6 ounces to win this.
27.4, I think.
28 pounds.
Oh, 28.
There's the voice, yeah.
Shot. Sounds so bad.
Oh, that's way better than I remember it. Listen.
Oh, it's offensive. Offensive.
That's not offensive at all. That's great.
You know what that feels like? I'll give you an example. Do you know, I think Andy Montgomery explained it to me once. He said, I know exactly what you felt like at that moment. He goes, because we go into tournaments and we have fish and we're just praying that they'll stay, that you're running out of fish, but you just hope that those fish will stay, like that you'll have enough to make it through. That is the worst feeling in the world, to be losing your voice on that stage. You're just like, I'm going to move this hole and I hope the words come out. But I've since learned to take care of my voice a little better.
Honey and lemon?
Just not talking, lots of water, slippery elm lozenges. There's a lot of different things.
Wait a second. What'd you call them?
Slippery elm lozenges. They just make
sponsor?
No, not at all. Wish they were. They're just lozenges you take and they just make your mouth moist. I went to a vocal coach after that. And they talked.
This is a real thing, people.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Because what I do with my voice is very bad. They told me I was going to lose my voice if I kept doing it. But the worst thing you can do, there they are, slippery elm lozenges.
Nothing like your daily dose of herbal throat support.
Why is anyone listening to this anymore at this point? But what I do with my voice that is bad, your vocal cords are very thin. Like it's easy to screw them up. And the worst thing you can do is gravel them. And when I do that a lot, when I introduce people, like, you know what I mean? Like Kevin Van, that is not good for your voice, but I think I've learned to take care of it better. I mean, you probably shouldn't start at the Bassmaster Classic is my advice.
Okay. So that was a good call. So we're doing lists today. So I'll just do your top three Elite Series calls in order of your favorite calls. That's that one, which was obviously the first one.
I think number one, because of how it happened. And if you listen back to it, you actually hear me putting it together in my head. Well, I'm not supposed to start with one, am I?
We can do it. I want to see if I can look them up too.
Unbelievable's number one, I think, with Jordan Lee. And because the first time I say it, I actually just say unbelievable. Like, because it was, he came back. He didn't think he was going to win that classic, but then it came out of my mouth and I'm like, wait a second, unbelievable. And it became a thing for him. I'm trying to think about them all. I don't know. I don't rank these things.
This was I know. That's why I'm asking you. If you had already ranked them, then it'd be a boring segment.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to think of other. Oh,
this one right here.
Yeah. That's great sound on that. Yeah. So I'm yelling unbelievable there.
Oh, dude, that was solid.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite, as far as like an actual. I'm trying to, I'm going through in my head. There's been some decent ones.
Here it is, right here. Here it comes.
I can't hear it. Can you?
You couldn't hear it?
No, not on my end.
Oh,
I guess maybe, but I heard the KVD video, but it doesn't matter.
No. I got to show.
We don't need to play it again.
Yes, you do. It's the deal. It's my show.
Oh, wow. This is really something. Well, a cherry on top was a good one, too.
Oh, sorry.
Like
I was showing. I knew that was oh, yeah. We'll play that one next. Here, I'll share screen with the entire. Okay, here we go. Sorry, this was my fault, people. I just had dead silence in the show. That's the worst thing you could have. It's one of the low lights of BTR.
Yeah,
right
really.
there.
I
All
don't
right,
know
here
why
we go.
people are giving money.
This works out. We are going to
Ask
have
for
an
a
incredible
refund. You can hear it now, right?
Classic champion
Yeah.
for
Okay.
13.7.
Listen to this call. This
11
one's
pounds,
good.
10 ounces. 11 pounds and 10 ounces. Unbelievable.
Dude,
Your
that was
Geico
solid. You were right
Bassmaster
on the edge
Classic
of that.
champion.
You talk about the
Jordan
voice.
Lee, 10 years ago, and 10 ounces.
Were you not right on the edge? Right here.
Unbelievable. Your Geico Bassmaster Classic champion.
Like you almost cracked on it, but you powered through. Like that had some
Slippery elm.
That call thanks to Slippery Elm. So that Hank Cherry one, was that the
Cherry on top? I don't know, dude. Like
was that
I
the Hartwell one, or was that or not the Hart? Yeah, was that the
No, he did, yeah, the 50th, because it was the 50th classic finishes with a cherry on top. And then I think I did it the next year, just like Jordan. I mean, when you have something stuck in your head, you'll do it again. Because Jordan got unbelievable again when he won it, and Hank Cherry got once again the classic finishes with the cherry on top. I think, believe it or not, I don't think of those. The weird thing about me and the classic is I'd be better at my job if I pre-planned those. And I thought, this guy could win and we're going to say this. What I do on stage is literally what I've always been, like a weirdo that just gets that excited about our sport. And I try not to watch the footage on the final afternoon. I try not to know who wins because I want my reaction to be real. And in some ways it works, some ways it doesn't. But in that situation, I think it worked. But it's really not up to me. It's up to the viewers. I mean, the ones they like, the ones they don't like.
He just keeps talking. I'm not going to play the more highlights.
Oh God,
decisions, but couldn't take over that lead.
You can hear it.
High
You hear it?
13 ounces side by side, guys.
Oh gosh.
19 pounds, 8 ounces, 19.8, and with 65 pounds, 5 ounces. The 50th Bassmaster Classic finishes with a cherry on top.
Ooh, that was solid.
Hold them high, Birmingham, Alabama.
Enough. This is horrible.
That was very well done.
Oh, thank you.
What
Thank you.
did you say the other one was?
I don't know. That's it. That's all I got.
Hamner. We got Hamner time. Hamner time was pretty good.
Hamner time is what I've always, kind of called him. That was, there's some of them work, some of them don't. Casey Ashley, because he was one of the first guys to win it at home. Native son gets it done. I don't know. Like some of it works, some of it doesn't. It's all up to the viewer, really. But my goal with my job, honestly, is just to somehow, that's why you see me walk off the stage all the time, because to me, that winning moment, you of all people understand how hard and how much work you put into that winning moment. Should not be about me. That winning moment should be about the person who wins. And my goal is to just somehow make that moment a little brighter, a little, mean more to the person that won. And obviously it ends up, some of them work and some of them don't, but yeah, that's all I got about that. I hate talking about myself. Why didn't you just talk?
You
about
always go
forward-facing sonar
you
and
always talk.
paybacks
You
and-
always talk about going off stage, and then it's about them. So this is ironic because if Panger ever made the Elite Series, what's Dave nickname? Well, Panger is a nickname.
Yeah,
my last name's Pangerak, so that is. But fun fact: Dave refuses to give a nickname to anybody that requests a nickname.
It's true.
It's 100% true.
You can't ask.
So there are anglers on the Elite Series that should have nicknames, but won't have nicknames because they care too much about getting a nickname.
It's true. Well, you can't, dude. I knew a guy. I grew up with a guy that came back from school one year, from summer break, and he had his car, and he had his own personalized plates. And he's like, I'm Casper. People call me Casper. And I'm like, nobody's ever called you Casper. It's a horrible nickname, number one, but you can't give yourself your own nickname. So yeah, no, it's dude, not everyone needs a nickname. You know what I mean? Like, it gets ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot of nicknames. But I mean, hey, it works for some people. It doesn't for others. I mean, and when you really look at it, there's so many ridiculous, like, the fact that that's what I love about our sport. Like, if you looked at it from the outside, it is the most bizarre thing in the world. Like, it, you know, the fact that llama became a thing for Seth Feider is so ridiculous. Like, if that can become a thing, anything can become a thing. It's just that's a fun part. Like, it's fun to watch. Like, I'll give you an example of a nickname that I think that really worked for a dude. And it's Austin Felix. Austin Felix was this quiet dude that, you know, was very, and still is very quiet, but unassuming. But I'm sitting watching him fish, and it was on Sandy Cooper that I gave him that nickname, the Sleepy Assassin. And I'm watching him, and me and Overstreet are watching, like, this is during the event. And I'm like, this dude is friggin' Sleepy Assassin. Like, I didn't mean it even as a nickname. I'm like, just look at him. He's like half awake, but he just steadily keeps catching them and moving up the leaderboard. And it was funny because I don't ever run a nickname by somebody. Zona has given a lot of nicknames. He doesn't ever run them by somebody. They just happen. And if it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So the next morning at takeoff, I call him the Sleepy Assassin. And the funny thing with Austin, because he's so like mild-mannered and, you know, half asleep most of the time, his head like turned around like really quickly looking at me. And I'm like, I don't know if he likes that or not. But I feel like Austin, a nickname has helped him. You know, it has helped him be recognized. It also helped him feel like he was part of the, you know what I mean? I'm accepted here. It's, but you get to bring back another one. You get to bring back Game Face. Yeah. Yes, we do. Jeffries Jeffries never liked that nickname, and it was strictly because here's why. Guess why? Why? Because he was a Bobby the Indiana coach. Bobby Knight. He was a Bobby Knight disciple, and Bobby Knight was not remember he had that rant about what does the Game Face look like? So strictly because of that, Jeffries was not a fan of Game Face Cliff Pace. I think it's good. Do you know how that started? That literally started. So when he won the Classic on Grand, that year we had kind of this raised platform that I would do interviews on. And I was interviewing Brandon Palnick, who finished second in that Classic. And I used to jokingly, because Cliff never smiles, I used to every once in a while call him Smiling Cliff Pace. just to really hammer home the point. Well, it's like when a big guy gets called tiny. I mean, yeah. So I'm interviewing Palnick, and Cliff is right below us. His boat is right there, and Palnick and me are, and I've said, you got to try to take out Smiling Cliff Pace. And Palnick turns to me and goes, did you just call him Smiling Cliff Pace? And he's right there, and he's looking at us, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's more like Game Face Cliff Pace or whatever. And then that kind of became a thing from there. And yeah, I don't know if he uses it anymore. I have to find out. Well, you're going to get to use it again. They didn't have weigh-ins where anyone could use it. That's true. So good to have him back, though. This year, I feel like we have some good ones coming because we've got a cast of characters here that will probably. Oh, wow. I'm just giving you a little heads up now. So we got Cody Meyer. A lot of opportunities there. I feel like Tucker Smith. Like, you have both of the $1 million duo between Tucker and Logan Parks now. Like, that's the team that won it. Now they're both on the Elite Series. That mother Tucker. Yeah, sure. That one will really fly. The other half of the I don't know. Anyway, Paul Marks, Emil Wagner. Like, you've got Andrew Lober, the Great Dane. I told him I will not call you the Great Dane because he's Danish. He's Danish. Yeah. Why would you not? He doesn't need to be the Great Dane. That's phenomenal. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Should we call him Great Dane?
Dude, I think that's like I said, they just said it there. That's like the main event. That's like Tyler Williams. I mean, it just rolls off the tongue.
All right. Well, your viewers, not only can they give you money today, but they can decide whether he's the Great Dane. If you want the Great Dane, let us know. If the Great Dane is no good, then we will not do it. But
I mean, it's just this. The instant feedback is blowing up. Like that's it. It's a Great Dane. He hasn't caught a fish on the Elite Series, and he's already.
Yeah, and that's how it is. Some people come equipped with a nickname. They just. But I mean, he can be. That's a lot.
It's
of people
just rolling.
saying, yes, they love the Great Dane. Okay, now we need to just start calling him that when you correspond with him on social media.
So after you do that, where you have to I could see you being like, he's from Alabama now. The Great Dane, Andrew Loberg.
No, Andrew Loberg's not the Great Dane. The Great Dane.
The Great Dane? Oh, is Emil Wagner.
Emil Wagner.
Yeah, sorry, I was totally wrong on that. The Great Dane. Well, he kind of looks Danish too. Let's kid ourselves.
He's got that look to him. He's West Coaster.
Dude, I just did Ancestry. Just got my results back. I'm like 30% Scottish. Had no clue.
Wow.
Yeah,
so you appreciate that money.
Slovak, and then I went to Scotland for some odd reason. Like, had no association with it whatsoever. Went to Scotland this summer. Was like, I think I want to go to Scotland. Came back, part Scottish.
Wow. Well, that money means even more to you.
Yeah, Loberg's. I feel like the Great Dane. That's it, 100%.
I see Frank Scalise Jr. saying Ewag, which, dude, that is so everybody's like it. There was a time where everybody was that. You know what I mean?
I know, but doesn't Ewag sound like a vape pen? Like, did you try the new citrus flavored Ewag?
Yeah, or Ewok, which that got me in trouble this year. That was an interesting
and then
time.
A lot of opportunities with Dakota Ebear there. He's got a lot of history. He's the former bull. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can. We're not trying to do nicknames now. I'm just putting it in your head.
Dakota's one of those dudes that I don't feel like he's Dakota Ebear. Like Clint Eastwood didn't have a nickname. You know what I mean? There's certain names that you just and people throw different things around Clint Eastwood and say, no, he had this name. Those are all characters he played, but he's Clint. Yeah. And Dakota Ebear comes with a unique name. You know what I mean? It's like Stetson Blaylock. I don't think he needs a nickname. There's certain people that don't need it. It's weird that I even feel like I have this kind of power just because of a stupid job I got. I'm lucky enough to have
pressure on Bo Browning, but with a first name like that, has to win something. Like, he has to be the last guy to weigh in. You already had the cherry on top call. I mean, that's tailor made.
Well, what with a bow on top?
Ties a bow on it,
Come on.
Is that too easy?
That's too cheesy even for me.
Too cheesy?
No. I mean, I hadn't thought about that. But like I said, I don't think about these. You making me think about this has probably made it all that more awkward. I mean, and
then there's a lot of opportunities with Evan Kung too.
Yeah, that's an easy one to do stuff with.
Yeah, but they also have to have the personality. It has to fit them. They have to be able to interact with you on stage. I mean, it's a give and take right here.
Yeah, it's a fine line. It's a fine line. But we talked about Kyle Welcher. Stone Cold Kyle Welcher, he did not like that at the beginning. He was like, why are you calling me that? And then when he won Angler of the Year, it was cool because he actually made it part of his speech. And he said, I was not a fan of that. But as I've gotten more, because I think, everybody thinks Stone Cold Steve Austin. But that literally the reason I started calling him Stone Cold Kyle Welcher, because that's who he is. Like, he is you spend time with him, you're like, this is a stone cold killer. He is here to take your money. He is here. Like, I mean, I used to joke about him and Hunter, his amazing wife, when they first came on tour. I'm like, they're natural born killers. Like, I could
she's
see them
feisty in the videos. Like, I don't want anything. I mean, I would be scared of her. I've never met her. I'm sure she's lovely, but like, she's
awesome.
Yeah,
she's awesome. But I could see them win an event and leave, and then hold up a card game somewhere down the road. Like, they're just
Body
natural born
inclined.
killers. Yeah.
Modern day Body inclined. You also can't forget the last one, that Bass Nation winner, Blake Caps. Caps, the last name, caps off an incredible tournament.
Yeah, that's easy. That's easy.
Puts a caps in the competition. A tip of the caps. I mean, dude, there's so much to do with Blake Caps if he gets a W.
There's moments, things flash through my head that I've wanted to say and I don't say, like Mark Frazier, Micah Frazier when he was on the Elites, not anymore, but that's where it started with, and maybe it'll happen with Mark. But I remember when Micah got knocked out of the hot seat so badly, I wanted to go, down goes Frazier. But I didn't. Why
didn't you do that?
I don't know. Sometimes I'm more professional.
I guess, I do have to take their feelings into account.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is a good moment for the crowd, but that is also a horrible moment as a human. Like, you just lost the tournament you thought you were going to win.
That I want to know. The guy who has taken a hard defeat the best, like a guy who you're going to be like, oh, this is crazy. And then you look at him and he's like, damn, that was close. Let's go get a beer. Like who you're like, ooh, this guy like knows he's going to be there again, where you thought it would be bad. And the guy like took it in stride.
I'm trying to think. It sucks for all of them, to be honest. Like, I'm trying to think of, nobody really stands out as somebody that I was like, wow, who stands out? And I know it was tough for him to do. Polinick, and not that it wasn't crushing, but when he got beat by Will Davis, the way he lost because of a fish that had a dead fish penalty that happened literally because he ran out in the lake with 30 minutes left to go. Wouldn't have happened. Like, it was a freak thing where his cull thing got stuck in part of his live well. If he didn't make that move to go out in the lake, he wins that tournament, but he won it. And he collected himself and made the moment about Will Davis. I mean, Polnick is perpetually really good on stage. There's a lot of them, but dude, I think I always say that's one of the coolest things about my job is I am a foot away from dudes when they accomplish their lifelong dream. But one of the negative things is I'm a foot away from people when their lifelong dream literally gets pulled from their hands. Like, in some of the toughest ones, were one of the toughest ones ever was, and I'm bringing him up a lot in this podcast, but Andy Montgomery, one of the best dudes in this sport, one of the most entertaining dudes in this sport, when he lost the TTBC to, I believe, Dave Lefebvre, like that, it was $250,000. And when Andy tells the story, he says, that's back when I was broke as a joke and
needed it.
And he needed it so bad. And dude, he literally collapsed. Like, he collapsed on stage. And it's funny because every once in a while people will be like, why don't you talk to the second place angler? The second place angler doesn't want to talk. They generally just want to get out of there because it is kind of evil the way the sport of fishing does it. I mean, it's the original American Idol. We line them side by side. One of them wins and one of them loses. But that one stood as a tough one. There's been, the Christie near misses with Jordan. Like, that was one of the most awkward moments ever in my life. Like, when Jordan won the second classic, we were in the round that year, which means the stage was in the center. So that stage, there was like, normally on a regular stage, I talked about how I like to get out of the way and move off the stage and give them their moment. Well, when you're in the round, there's nowhere to get out of the way. And all week I'd been getting yelled at by photographers and different people because no matter where I went, I was in their shot.
Yep.
So I'd learned the back, the exit arm of the stage is where I can get out of everyone's shot. So me being the dramatic idiot that I am back there on my knees, laid back and yelling, unbelievable, just being a theatrical idiot. And while I'm doing that, I hear, I got to get through here. And Jason Christie's leg steps over me. And I just felt like horrible. I just felt horrible.
I just asked the positive ones. I just asked the positive side. You took it to the other.
No, but I've told that story. Christy, he conquered it. He dealt with that demon, and that's okay. It was my screw up, not his.
The way I look at tournament fishing is like, there's an abnormal amount of guys who are coming in and just having success. Like, you'll be calling one of them here next year with the Easton Fothergill from 2023 to winning the bracket to the 2 wins to the Angler of the Year. I mean, he hasn't finished, 6 top 25s, but I like where I'm at as far as not having one. I had a good year this year. Like Adam Bartuzik and I won the St. Jude Bass Classic, and I had a top 10 in the Open and a top 5 in the regional. I mean, I had a decent year, but I'm enough into it now where should it happen, which I'm also a realist to say, an open win may not happen. It should it happen. I feel like I'm good enough. We'll have some opportunities. I will appreciate it so much because of the journey that leads up to it and all of the, that was a dumb mistake or why did that fish come off, or those will make that one moment so much sweeter.
That's why people cry on stage. That, like when I see anglers tear up, it's not because, hey, I won $100,000 or I won this tournament. It's because of all the times that people said, you can't do this. All the times that they broke down at the side of the road and were changing a flat at 3 a.m. and the rain was teaming sideways and they needed to get it changed and get back on the road because pre-fish starts in a few hours. That's what the tears come from. Because
what's terrifying are the guys who do expect to do it and then they do it and they're like, all right, nice win, on to the next one. And you're like, oh God.
They all do that though. That's one thing, that when you win one, it immediately it's I want another. Like it's weird. Like I don't know of anyone that was like, whew, I'm satisfied with this. Like when you talk to them the next day, they're like, I want more of that because it was better than I expected it to be. So yeah, no, it's something. This has been an awkward.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you out of here under 2 hours. No, I don't think it's been awkward at all.
I guess.
I mean, we've talked a lot together.
I don't like to listen
to
to
show
myself
every year. Well, I've asked questions about it. It's not like I came on and said, give me your top 5 picks for the Classic this year. And you said, let me tell you about my early days, man. You know what I mean?
I'd rather not talk about the anglers. Let's talk about my favorite topic, me.
That would have been, that would have raised an eyebrow. But I did some homework and I wanted to pay it off.
All right. Yeah, you did do some homework. So you lied to me when you said, I don't know what we're going to talk about.
At the time
we got another topic to talk about, by the way.
What's that?
Did we call the call?
I don't.
We have never talked about it. You got busy. I got busy. And it was like, oh yeah, we'll do them next week. We'll do them. And then next week ran into next week. And then we called the call.
I would like to bring the call back. I feel like there are ample things to talk about in this day and age.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about.
I enjoyed doing the call.
Yeah. They were fun. I mean,
it was just
timing was tough. So if people donate money, we'll bring the call back.
I think we bring the, I think we should bring the call back.
All right.
What do you
let's
think?
Work on it. I'm fine with it. I love doing it, dude. I mean, it's pretty easy. I think what we were doing was fun. We enjoyed it. I'm fine to bring the call back.
I know we can come up with enough. I mean, I do 200 shows a year about something, so there's obviously not enough to run out about. It's just I feel like there was also a period of time there where neither of us were inspired.
Yeah, but there's also the part of me that I like the concept of the call, but I'm so tired of all the constant bitching. There's so much on the internet right now that is anti everything. And I just feel like, and I've said it a bunch of times publicly, I'm like, I just feel that's so detrimental to our sport. If you look up our sport and you're from another company that wants to get into investing in maybe fishing, and you look and you're like, well, there's dudes who shove weights in a walleye, and then there's a bunch of dudes that are just pissed about everything. There's YouTube channels that literally just bitch every day. Some of them twice a day. And I just think
3 times a day.
I just think that, and things need to be talked about. I'm not, I'm not saying you should ostrich life and bury your head in the sand, but I think that sometimes we should realize this is what we love. This is what we get to do. What I said in that press release about it being a dream, and I know you said that's coach speak, But that's literally what it is. Like, to me, I would sit at the Bassmaster Classic and be like, how cool would it be to be that guy one day? And somehow I ended up getting that job, got to hold that microphone. There's so much to be celebrated in this sport.
Mhm.
And I hate all the hate, really. But I mean, it is part of the world. Like, people hate some stuff. There's, I don't know if you've turned on the internet lately, but people are pissed about things.
But I mean, dude, like, I read key things to stay up with it, but I don't seek this stuff out like at all. Like, I feel like if you want to seek it out, you can.
Yeah.
I just get the highlights of the hate. I just get the highlights of it. Usually if someone's like, do you see this? Do you hear this? Do you watch that? And then you go watch it. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, I at BTL, and I take some heat for it. Not much at all. I try to just provide a platform for anglers and people in the industry to come on and talk. And yeah, I give my opinions. Like, I mean, I was fired up over the Power Breaks deal.
Oh, you were?
I know, but
again, dude, that's not hate. To be fired up about that, that's not what I'm talking about. It's
I know
constant berating of anglers doing things different. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's an insult to the sport that I love. If you're just going to point fingers and just perpetually just rain down on it, like, because there's so much good to be had.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, I just had Charlie Hartley on. Like, dude, like that.
Charlie Happy.
That's a perpetual optimist right there.
He's an amazing individual. The way he is, the way he is always himself. Like, Charlie's I mean, there's a dude you talk to and you never walk away from being happy, like, not happy. And he's a prime example of, I told you I live through quotes. And another quote that I live by goes something like, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you do, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yep.
And Charlie Hartley is that, and that's what I think the world needs more of, because the world has got enough bull crap. And I saw somebody posted, well, that's what comments are for. You can say what you want in the comments. Comments are fine. I'm talking about people who, like, their pulpit is just hate about a sport that they profess to love.
Yeah, these are the last texts from Charlie. I'm going to say the word because it's hilarious. So there's a picture of his boat in the garage, right? And then there's a picture of water spot remover and ceramic wax. And then it says, I have shiny shit with an exclamation point. and then following it, it says, so much to be thankful for. Happy Thanksgiving. Just an unsolicited Charlie Hartley text.
And that is who Charlie Hartley is. Dude, I remember before I worked for the Elites, I remember me and him were both in the top 10 at the Canadian Open one year. And I remember just talking to him. Neither of us ended up winning that year. But I remember talking to him afterwards. And I just remember walking away, and all he said is, I can't wait to get home and wash my rig tomorrow. Like, he was so excited to go shine his shit. And I was like, but that is just, I mean, it's just amazing that he's and that's 20 something years ago. So you didn't answer him. You left him on red.
No. So he's, this is bad. I need to say,
you are a douche.
Hell yeah. Charlie. Nice.
Charlie, if you texted me, I would have answered.
He sent me 3 pictures. How did I not see this? It's a picture of him with a fish with a jig, then another picture of him with the fish, and then a picture, and it says, so much to be thankful for. Did you see family and eat lots? I said, hell yeah, Charlie, nice bass. Okay. I can't believe I left him on red. Yes. Oh my God. That's like 5 years of bad luck to leave Charlie Hartley on red.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, maybe if you didn't have 2-hour podcasts, you could get back to people.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go.
No, I mean, I've enjoyed our conversation.
I have too, but it's 2 hours.
Yeah, it is. But hey, if you want more of this kind of crap, every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, the Mercer podcast. Please tune in. We appreciate it. You can give money there too if you want. I mean, I guess we're not live, so you can't. But
Kyle Welcher this week.
Yeah. Kyle Welcher, and we go a lot of places. He said afterwards, he said, this is maybe the most awkward podcast I've ever done. And I said, perfect. Mission accomplished. But then we talked for another 45 minutes afterwards about just all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, I love having the conversations I get to have, and even the awkward ones I have with you, Panger. Thanks for living in my past.
No, it was good. Did we decide? I know, like, how you do a show and you're like, oh, that I like that show. This was one of those shows for me.
Well,
like I liked the show. I got a lot of good dialogue. We had more listeners. Like, it started and continually got like more and more people on. I don't know. That's just because they're curious that we're still on after 2 hours. But I mean, I didn't feel any awkwardness, and you like talked about So are we bringing back the call starting in 2025? It's totally up to you. I'm totally down for it.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Okay. Let's do it. Let's
gives us some time
to comments, and
that gives us some time to
our topics. Let's come up with some topics and let's do it. Like,
yep.
You want to bring it back like right away, or are we just going to bring it back in the new year?
That's what I was thinking. January.
All right, we'll do that.
But we got to keep the same opening. I loved that opening where they're like mismatched our faces together.
Yeah. We're not putting any more effort into openings.
Don't change the opening.
No, that's what we've got. We don't make any money off the call, so we don't have a budget to make a new opening. You've made more off this individual podcast that I've visually seen than we ever made off the call.
Well, I said you need to watch Travis Manson. I mean, he gets it flying in. But he does like raffles and I think illegal YouTube auctions. He does all sorts of stuff. I mean, they just throw money at Smallmouth Crush. So
I think that's cool though. I think that's one of the things that's really cool right now. Like, if you look at in my life what fishing has become from what it was. I mean, it was literally, you waited for a magazine to come out. You had a show that was a highlight show that you got months later, and now we can watch live bass fishing. But we also have all of these different, like, if you look at the amount of fishing podcasts, as crazy as it seems, but it's cool that there's all these different podcasts like Money Bass, like Travis, like people doing it different and doing it
bunch
their
of
way.
Regional ones too, where guys like John I did Dodge Stewart. He's on here in the Kansas Bass Nation and stuff.
On
like,
his
I had a bunch of
next week.
Are you?
Yeah.
Nice. I had a bunch of guys from Kansas that reached out to me afterwards that were like, hey, that was cool. Talking about stuff like that. So
good. All right.
It's like the I'm going to get it wrong. The No Wakes Idle Zone Syndicate.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm on there next week. John Stewart, always been good to me. Look forward to that chat.
Why'd you put a period as your name and not like Dave or something?
Just because I don't normally use this platform for my podcast, and we put fonts over it. So I didn't put anything. So we normally insert our own font. And I guess that's just what it is. So yeah, period. I should have put my name.
Well,
I didn't. I'm sorry.
You're Dave Mercer. Of course, everyone knows who you are. You don't need
to. Sure they do.
Right,
I'm a Formula One driver. I'm a
Welsh broadcaster, a British alpine skier, an Olympic weightlifter, a cricket player, and last but not least, the president of the Lake Tahoe Ski Club Foundation.
Keep your tips up.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
All right, the one and only Dave Mercer. Great show. I honestly didn't know where that was going, but I'm happy it went where it went. All right, tomorrow, big announcement from the one and only Cliff Crochet, the Cajun Baby, on BTL, 8:30 a.m. Central Time on the 4th. We'll see you then. Later.